there is now Bass Talk. So I don't know if you've seen this yet, Julia, but I got to see it in person.
Oh, I haven't seen this. No.
So it's not the whole thing, but it is off the presses,
Oh,
right? So
that's so
here's
good.
right. Oh, yum yum
Oh
yum
my
yum yum
God.
yum. Oh, in here.
That's so cool. Oh my God. I
That's
will not.
the people on the stream. Y'all made a terrible mistake. Whoever did that joke when I did like little kissy faces at a graphic, and people followed the stream. That's you're good. Everyone will suffer for that for years.
Mostly Julia.
Mostly. Oh no,
No. I'm
no.
kidding.
I mean, they're doing it again. People are now following the stream that I did the
Oh,
kissy face. Um, that's why we
stop
can't have
encouraging
nice
him.
things. It's like I see. I stopped doing the ASMR because people hated it. I hate how easily I'm. But anyway, this is like the calendar, folks. Proof that it is getting done. It will be coming off the presses very soon, and then we will be shipping them out. But this is also to say everything is going like it came out, and we're like, yay, it's good. This means it's going to be done soon, which means the pre-order is going away. And we love you. And we want you to have nice things. And we want to be generous and kind to you. But it's called a pre-order because you order it before it comes out. And so if you want to get in on the pre-order and order a couple and save that money, I think that's going to go away maybe tomorrow. Maybe Saturday, right? So if you want to save some money, do some Christmas shopping, get it for you, get it for somebody else. Follow that link and get in there. But get what I hear you say. Now, in our thing down there, it went away. It went away. You can't see it anymore.
Oh,
Now you have to buy it because that's never coming back around on the rotation.
just like Pat's new book.
Thank you. God, I was waiting forever. Um, hold on. Obsidian Darkness Helena. First off, I want to say good job capitalizing that long username because I could actually read it. I appreciate that. But they also said I may have ordered the calendar before the book, which
I am
bravo,
honored.
Julia.
Jesus, thank you.
And I don't mind in the least because I did this calendar with Julia and I didn't want to announce it until we were so sure it was going to be good and ready in time. So, because I didn't want to say, hey, everybody, calendar, and then it's ready in January and I feel real, real bad. But instead, it actually got done in a timely fashion. You forgot to order both. Oh, we did a bundle. So here's what you do. If you forgot to order both at the same time, go back to the store and you order the bundle, but also with the fancy promotional coin. You save way more money. And the others, when they show up, you give those to your favorite person in your life or the person you know who's the saddest, and you'll either strengthen your relationship or improve somebody's day with Sexy Bast. That's
Or someone who has no idea about the novel and you want to confuse them deeply.
I mean, I wonder. I mean, give it to your Mima. Give it to your Peepaw. I mean, let's not gender this unnecessarily. What I'm saying is that our main audience was horny grandparents. This is why, Julia, I can't promote anything. I'm so sorry. I'm bad at this.
No, I started this. It's okay.
See,
I literally started this though.
you
I
literally did start this. And the nice thing is, since you're on the stream, I feel a little bit bad, but also I'm like, now somebody's going to do up the fake t-shirt that says, it's for horny grandparents and have like the, and I'm like, but you can't draw it because you're on the stream with me.
Oh man, I need my extra limbs.
Hey, here
My
we go. We
twin something.
can confirm horny grandma. And so, looks like Jalois,
Hmm.
Jalois. But are you into it is what I'm saying. If you're a horny grandma or grandpa, a grand they, if you're just grand, do you like it? You can call me whatever you want if we get more bass. So, I spent so long getting like the graphics in here, and then so how about this? I'm gonna now watch. Do you have the stream on or just the chat,
Um,
Julia?
oh, I forgot. Oh, well, I
Do,
replayed no, it's up, but I got an ad for some reason, but it will be up in a sec.
okay, well, don't if you weren't. I didn't want to bog down your computer, crash anything, but everyone out there, I kind of wanted to show off because let's see if I can do it here. If I turn this off, and then I do this, and then okay, let's see if I can do it here though. Now's where it gets tricky.
Oh, I see it.
And now, can I make it work? Not quite all the way there yet, but can I?
Oh, I was
What
gonna
if I
say I
do
can
this?
like
No, you don't have
peek
to move.
one way or the other.
Oh. Okay, a little bit now. So here, there we. Oh, hold on. Am I just getting really wide? No, that's just. I'm actually that's not disproportionate. I'm actually fat. Okay, so now here we go. And I do have to move the zoom window a little bit. So everyone, that wasn't quite as elegant as it could be, but we're doing it live here. Um, so now, Julia, you and I can, and if we look here, for me it's this way, and
For
so
me, it's
this
this
the
way.
art is
Yeah.
over here. Um, Now, of course, Julia knows this art better than anyone, but now I'm also going to. So here, everybody, this is the first one in this little queue that I have flipped up. I didn't necessarily organize them. I just wanted them to be visible because I was
Yeah, that's
struggling
a
with
okay.
that in a previous stream. But um, uh, we didn't start by saying, "Hey, let's do a sexy flash dance in the Aeolian."
No, we hardly started with any of them planned out. I mean, it was very fly by the seat of our pants. Let's come up with some ideas.
Yep.
Let's see what's working, what's not.
In fact, here, let's do this. Here we go. This is more where we started. Because I think one of the first ones that I'm like, if we're going to do sort of a sexy Bast calendar, and I was like, we've got to have Bast washing a car. Like, we have to have Bast like in Daisy Dukes and like a little tied off t-shirt, car wash Bast.
Yeah.
Um, and and this is my fault, folks. I think it's either I suggested too specific or whatever, because as we got more into the project, I realized the more I just let Julia do it, the better it turned out. um no, that's not the bar. That's like a it looks like you might have done a Thunderbird here with that stripe down the front, Julia. It's obviously a muscle car. Oh,
Something like that. I feel so bad. So Pat, I know I've told you this before, but my husband's into cars, like really knows his stuff. And I am so scared of drawing cars because I'm like, he's gonna judge me so hard for whatever cool car I pick. It's just it's over. Then it's gonna be over between us.
no, hold on though, because somebody here in the chat just said, you know, why why oh, somebody is like, I saw Flashdance and I knew I wanted this calendar. I'm
No,
great.
AVG sus, right?
Uh
because that was my first pitch with this.
What was that?
Yeah, with the carriage. Wait, I think I have that in the
Oh yeah,
sketch
yeah, and
files.
that's what I was. No, I've got it
Oh,
here.
sorry. I had to
Um,
jump ahead of you.
let's. Okay, not there. It's here. Okay, hold on. We got to flip through a few. Dude, you can't see these. These are for later.
No.
Here it is. And this was the one. And I'm like, put him in some Daisy Dukes, and he get like, we'll do a car wash thing. And then here's what Julie, and I'm like, oh my God, of course there's no cars. If we keep this in world, it's a wagon. And I'm like, it
But it's still sudsy and it
it's
would
still
fall off of it like a
sudsy. And
car
I'm
for
like,
some reason.
and you know, and like, where does my brain go? And I'm like, okay, so if it's fully in my world though, then we have two problems. And one is soap that lathers a lot and the existence of denim, which, I mean, that's my problem. And I can keep it to myself sometimes, but this was, you know, this was here. Um, I kept trying to bring us back to this sexy car wash. And I don't know. I know that if I would have just said, okay, cool, sexy car wash, do it, it would have turned out great. But I kept being like, but I'm like, is he on the car? Is he leaning? And then I'm like, if we have him in the little tied off shirt, you know, I think one of the things we did well, Julia, as we were going through, um, I, I mean, Dishun, I only have two consistency issues here. There's other like ethical or aesthetic choices that, but what I was, you know, I thought it to death. Whereas if I just would have like set Julia loose, I'm sure we would have gotten a great, you know, like 1980s music video, soapy woman on the hood of a car, some sort of something like that.
But I mean, what we came out with though, and that's going to be in the commentary and everything. The fact is that it ended up being both of our minds, right? Overthinking or not. Like that's what it ended up being, which is great anyways. Oh my gosh. So what was it? Eddie in 1984 said, so no satirical tramp stamp. That would have been funny.
Oh my God. I mean,
I
let's tuck
what
that
would have
let's tuck that into the for the future.
yeah.
Bast with
That
a
oh,
okay.
that's him in the washer.
Like what? Oh my God. Oh my God. I
And then
did.
we get the tramp stamp. Yeah,
I
I
think
didn't
I
end
made
up
a joke about, oh no, Bast is stuck in the dryer.
we had too many real sketches to do, but I was like, someday I'll uh
A champ stamp is good. But now I gotta say, everyone, this is for the chat. What 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 would Bast's tramp stamp say?
I need to know.
And
Oh,
this
butterfly is pretty good.
just a butterfly. I mean,
I
that's pretty good. But
Larry.
next, you know, see, Juicy
Stuck in the apple barrel is pretty good
stuck
scores.
in the apple barrel. God damn it. God. Oh my. Oh man. Julia, I'm not saying open up the file and just take a few notes, but maybe. How about this, folks? If this calendar sells well enough and we make our money back so that this is worth Julia's time,
We'll do
we'll
more bullshit.
we'll do more insane shittery.
We'll just do a stream and I'll sketch live and the ideas can come in and we
Yeah.
can have a horrible, wonderful time.
Yes, he's wearing jean shorts because that's how you wash a sexy car sexily.
It's science.
Yeah, that's just science.
Reshi's pretty good.
The big book of Bass getting arrested by menfolk. Somebody has a very specific thing they know they want. And I'm here for it.
Totally Normal Dude is pretty good too.
A heart around Reshi. And Fayant Moire is also very good. A bad tribal pattern. You don't get a tribal pattern as a tramp stamp, though. How about this? If Bast were wearing a pair of sweatpants, what would it say on the butt? Elderberry. Okay. Dang. I don't know if that's going to be our winner, but it was very fast, and fast counts for a lot.
Yeah.
Bad bitch is pretty good. Horny. Oh, Bast Insider. Horny. It's very good.
My Bast Insider.
Oh, man.
Real legs with an arrow is very good.
We will get to the Q&A in a little bit. Slime Gold, which also is a pretty good username. Mm-hmm. Felurian with a pair of handcuffs on either side. You know, man, how about this? Should we just show off some of these sketches and see where it takes us? This is the one we showed. Now, not to call out Julie or anything, but whenever she pitched something, it was like, but what if we put him in water? Or if it's like, but what if there was water falling on him? Or what if, and I'm like, hey, Julia, you can be honest with me. If you just want to have very wet Bast, you don't have to come up with any other reasons.
Here's the thing. When I get an idea for like how to paint something in my head, it gets lodged in there until I get brush to canvas. And I'm like, I know exactly how these brush strokes would look. And oh God. Yeah, well, and you had the river scene too. So I was like, oh, that's perfect. We get flowers, we get wetness, easy peasy, sexy Bast. But this ultimately kind of coming together with our idea of the rock star theme and then becoming kind of Flashdance worked very well. But it did. Okay, what I will say, you can call me out on this, is you kind of had the Daisy Duke idea that we wanted to keep coming back to. I was like, pirates.
Oh my
pirates.
God. Like, how, like, of all the lowest hanging fruit, we did so many pirates and they were all good and some of them were great. Hey, everybody, there was Julia even did a version where he was on, and who remembers the pirate fuck couch that I talked about on the blog a long time ago? Like she did it with the couch, my soul couch, which I was going to go back and rebuy it just, I don't know, just in case I could ever find a doorway that it would go through. And it was gone. So I did not get to buy the couch, the sexy pirate fuck couch. And now I'm sad again because I'm thinking about that couch. But we did so many good pirates and some of them were great. But I was like, but that was me, because Julia was like, but pirate though. And I'm like, but what does it mean? Like, but what are we really adding anything to the concept of?
And then I'm just like, but pirate, Pat.
But pirate. And I'm like, it's pirate. A good butt pirate. I mean, but
no,
pirate.
But I was just butt pirate. No, but I was like, any excuse to make him kind of scraggly, kind of scarred, kind of. I'm like, well, we were talking about the bad boy, right? But then we ended up getting that in October. Anyways, yeah. So that was good. Yeah, I got a pirate thing, y'all. That is my thing I will cop to.
We all have a pirate theme. Speaking of copping to something, we were going to maybe do, like, the thing is, I can't feel as innocent about, like, cop anymore. Like,
right.
The whole, it's like, I like authority, sexy authority, like, I get that. But like, I can even get like, and then like sexy bad boy, but then like right now, cop is not so much. Not so much. It just doesn't. And somebody, first time chat, Bast Calendar. Welcome to the stream.
Hello.
Finally, somebody who showed up and instead of hearing me talk about some weird nonsense, is hearing me talk about weird nonsense they love.
Yeah, I was gonna say this isn't weird
So
nonsense.
yes, we're doing a Bass calendar. There's still the pre-order is running. If you follow the link, I think that link will take you to many things, but you can still pre-order the calendar, which means if you get a couple, you'll save a bunch of money. That's going to go away in a couple of days. So okay, let's. Oh, this was me. Let's come back to this one, okay?
Okay.
Um, Julia did so many of these that were good. Um,
Yeah, the pinups were another one that was like we tried so many different iterations and just to see if it could work, but there were always other ones that were currently working better and easier. So those were the roads that we followed.
yeah, and again, I loved it because it had the Dracus plushie in there too. Um, and I was never a pinup aficionado. Which is to say, I was aware they existed, but I don't know if I'd ever actually seen a real pinup calendar ever. Except we did a literary pinup calendar like 10 years ago. Um, and um, man, and as a result, I did learn a lot about it. But that means I've lost my metric for like what people are going to read as a reference.
Hmm.
Because like Flashdance, everyone is like, I've never seen Flashdance, but I know that's Flashdance.
Yeah.
And so it resonates. Whereas like there's only a very specific subsection of people that will resonate with pinup images other than like woman in a swimsuit going like this while a dog tugs it off her butt. Like that's number one. And there's a few
Yeah.
others where I don't know if it reads right. And I've lost my own perspective on it.
Right. No,
Um,
I feel that with certain, I mean, I talk about Boogaroo and stuff with you and Waterhouse, right? And I'm kind of out of touch there because I'm constantly kind of inundated with other people who study these arts with me. And we're like, oh, yeah, of course, John Singer Sargent, blah, blah, blah. And I mentioned this in front of another friend of mine who was attending the con with me. I'm like, oh, she paints like John Sargent. And he's like, I don't know who that is. And I'm like, oh, great, a new person I get to educate on this, but it rarely happens. So no, I kind of need to readjust as well as to where our lines are on that.
and uh, Darzog says Bass the Riveter,
Ooh,
which,
well, okay, so when somebody said like put Reshi on their shoulder with the heart, I was
uh-huh.
like, that's exactly where my mind went, was the Norman Rockwell one with all the
But here's what I'll say, and this is something, and actually I'm gonna flip again here. Yeah, here's another great, and this one, Julia and everybody, I'm so sorry. Look at this. She's even in this sketch. What we have here is this like super sweet, like this absolute like baby doll innocent, like expression that is a big mood for a pinup calendar. It's like all my I climbed up on the table and all of my clothes fell off. Like, which is also a thing, and I'm not going to judge anyone for being into that because we all
happens.
like what we like and we don't have to feel bad about that. And but also like the fact that he's wearing white socks and it looks like he has tiny whiteys on, and I'm like, oh my god, this is, oh, you know what he is here? This is Bast as himbo.
Oh, totally.
This is the best, sweetest himbo, and it's like I do want to put a very fuzzy blanket around him and take him home and take care of him. And I imagine everyone feels that way, although like some people are going to have it take care of him with a little asterisk after it, and I don't, not so much. Um,
Oh. No, but yeah, this one was a fun idea, but like we have said many times, we just had so many other moving parts that
yeah, yeah, and there is. I don't mind. I didn't want it to just all be pinup reference.
Oh, absolutely not. No, if we had like one or two max, that was
And then I
all we
think we
wanted to
agreed,
do.
like, if we do 3, we were pushing it a little bit.
Then that's a quarter of the calendar, and
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
too
and here we
much.
go. Here's one of the many very good pirates.
And this one, I my concept here was to have him be the plunderer of the four corners, so I have like little hints to other things
Oh.
in the world. So I've got Cavalt's loot, the Bloodless, the box from the ship that they're on, Cinder Sword, like
That's very good.
the vintage rings. I was just like, let's have him stealing everything from everywhere. But yeah.
Black Wings, yes, you are correct. He does plunder the booty, and I'm going to
And
acknowledge that.
I'm so glad her Black Wings, because that was in my files. Potential. Okay, thank you.
Oh, drag queen Bast.
Oh man.
Yeah, could you write that down, please, in
Mm-hmm.
our file? So now we've
Yep,
had.
yep,
Oh no, I'm in the apple barrel. Drag queen Bast. Um. And honestly, how about this? If we do another calendar, there will be 2 pirates in it, right?
yep. Thank you.
We'll start and end with pirates.
Guys, get this calendar going now.
Right. Hey, thank you for jumping in and ordering. Yeah, he got the smolder here. He got the classic, you know.
Gotta have it.
Um, and so now here's another pirate, very classic.
Yeah, this one was like, let's go for the cheesecake sort of fantasy novel cover.
Yep,
Way too much. Yeah.
yep. And uh, you know, we talked a lot about like what signifies, because for me, like the illustrations in the book are very like, with Nate, I'm like, we only have so much space, let's use every piece of it. But for a pinup calendar, a lot of it centers in the middle, because like you just want to see the girl in the bikini. Traditionally it's not like, this isn't a still life with boob,
Yeah.
like
Although that's pretty good.
still life with boob. I would commission that piece. Like, oh boy, now it's, oh no, I've already gotten to the point where everything I say sounds perverted.
Now we are fully past banter, folks.
Fully past banter. But yes, there's a Fabio vibe here. But for us, it's like pirate or on a ship. It's pretty much like, do you just have your leg up? Are you wearing a white shirt? Are you holding a rope? Congratulations, you're a pirate.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I think this may have been the piece too that made you start going, could we make a um oh my God, David Bowie
oh yes,
one. I
yeah.
think it was us talking about this piece in particular where you were like, that crotch though. Oh, wait a minute.
There was it. This is a little. It's central. It's
Hmm.
central to the theme, the composition.
Good
Um,
composition.
Good composition. See there, like, see that's what I want. I want an art contest where the real competition is people show you images and people make smutty comments that are actual feedback, and so it's like good composition where it's like the area and instead of saying like nice bulge.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yes, we were gonna do a Goblin King. We were gonna do a Jareth. Um, um, and so now, a creation of Adam. I don't know, like like of all the mashups. And the reason, everyone, that we didn't do Jareth is that I realized,
Yeah. Oh, we started to talk about like the iconic, yeah, uh,
yeah,
iconic parts of Bast.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that made it challenging because it was like suddenly, if you do Bast and Jareth, guess what he looks like? It it's Sandman.
Yes, yeah, that was it. That was because you did it, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, that looks like a really good Orpheus, like Neil Gaiman's Sandman. And I'm like, and you're like, yeah, because I did his hair dark. And I'm like, oh my God, you're right. As soon as you take that crazy wig off Bowie, I mean, to a lesser extent, the codpiece or the hand
Oh,
juggling,
right.
but it really is the hair. Like if you have that, everyone's like, Jared from Labyrinth. You know, you could be wearing like a pair of swim trunks and a Hawaiian shirt and that wig, and they're like, Jareth in Hawaii, you know?
Yeah.
Um, oh boy, Larry. We have very different takes on that movie. And I would love to dig into that. And I'm going to resist the urge to. That is an that I'm not saying, oh, that's interesting as a way of saying you're wrong. I'm saying like that's legitimately interesting. I've never thought of that
Yeah.
take on Labyrinth.
I like that.
Okay, so now, okay, another pirate. There we go. It's pretty much leg up, rope, and he's got his hand on the hilt, literally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, here we go. And here's we we're gonna maybe do a sexy librarian.
This is another one we tried and tried and tried and
Yep.
yeah.
And but it was the sexy librarian helped me realize, and it was something that I think was going wrong with the car wash that we kept trying, was um um it was, like the reason we steered part of the reason we steered away from Labyrinth is like, is this just us dressing up Bast?
Yeah.
And I'm okay with doing some dress up of Bast, but if we do too much of it, then this is a Bast doing cosplay calendar, which is a different vibe.
Yeah.
But also, like, we were doing the sexy librarian, and I'm like, well, what signifies librarian? And then I'm like, it's the horn rim glasses, they're on a chain, and it's a pencil skirt. And because you always see the sexy female librarian, and then I was worried that it would seem like we were making a joke about cross-dressing. Like, this is playful because he's wearing women's clothes.
Yeah, and that wasn't the vibe
And
that we were going for.
wasn't what we were going for. And it, yeah, it's just,
Yeah. And so here I was like leaning into like, okay, what if we took a Aziraphale and kind of took off the sleeves? So, there's still room to play there, and I think we both enjoyed the idea because I mean, hell, who isn't here that doesn't love books?
I
Like,
mean,
and
this is the perfect audience for Sexy Librarian Bast. Although, thinking back on it, what we really need, oh my God, here's a take. And everyone that watch it happen live, I take a good idea and I complicate it to the point where it can't be done. So watch me do it.
Welcome to the last 6 months of Julia's life. No, sorry.
And so, like, watch it happen live. Instead, why don't we do him as a himbo librarian, where he's there instead of like, ooh, she's severe. It's an authority woman who's an authority figure. Shh, it's secret. So you have like, instead of that, he's a librarian, but get me that other expression of him being like, oh no. And his book, he's holding the book, but it's upside down. So it's sort of a subversion of the dominant librarian, but it's a himbo. I'm like, that's something new. And it's like, yeah, it's new because nobody wants it, Pat. Nobody, that you just put together a bunch of shit that doesn't belong together. It's like, hey, Julia, I know everyone likes apple pie, but what if you did it instead and used an onion? And it's like, No, there's a reason you put apple in the pie. It tastes good with cinnamon and sugar. God, I think I could make an onion pie though. Now that I'm thinking of it, which is what's wrong with me, right?
Hey guys, this is still part of what would be our art critique conversation is
Yes,
onion pie. It would go to onion pie.
I would talk for a goddamn hour about onion pie, about how it's functional, and Julia never once stabbed me in the neck.
I am a state away.
um,
No, but I think Himbo Librarian it is a take that we could have gone with it. I think that's very funny.
it is, and it would be a more, and we ended up making a distinction. There were scenes, which is where I always lean towards scene. Here is a moment and it tells a story, as opposed to image. And they're both valid, but one requires just a lot more in there, which means it's me asking Julia to do more and more and more and. Or you have image that it also implies story, but it's not the same way I do it, which is really particular and fiddly.
Well, and I mean, it depends on the piece, but I get a lot of joy out of being like, oh, it's particular and fiddly because it's very specific and we're going to get into the nitty gritty and tell like a really cool story. So it just depends. Or if we're doing something really kind of stupid and silly, like Himbo Librarian, it's like, are we trying to hide secrets in this one, or is it just a silly librarian?
And like it would be fun to like somebody kind of explain the concept of sexy librarian to Bast, but instead it would almost be like a mashup of him kind of not getting any of it right, where he's like, oh, I'm in the library and my clothes fell off, but also shush, but also look at me. And it's like, no, it's everything. It would just be the train wreck of you missed the mark on this one.
Oh God, that actually kind of ended up being our, what is it, July one in a way.
Which one was July?
Reading.
Hold on, what? Oh my God, yes. That's my best title ever.
I love hate it.
And so hold on, I've got that. I'm gonna switch back here. So everybody, you might see a quick flash of images that nobody has seen yet here. Because I only have 8 in here. Some of them.
Oh, so somebody, sorry, go for it.
Some of these there's nowhere where you can see all 12 images because some of them are a little spoilery for the book. But we've only showed off, I think, 5 or 6.
Something like that.
So people have seen this one. If you haven't, okay. Here's Sexy Fireman Bast, who I love. We can talk about a bunch, but we've already seen him. There's Emberly and Bast, which, if you've read Lightning Tree, it makes sense. This isn't really spoilery because it's just beautiful, but it'll mean a little more for once you've read the book. Everybody in the chat, I've ruined them with the concept of onion pie. Now that is the discussion over there.
Wonderful. I wouldn't have it any other way.
I don't know if we've officially shown off Bast as Dionysus.
I don't think so.
But we're like, if we're not doing if we are doing Bast as, if we're going to allow ourselves a few of those, and we don't do, actually, this is where Pirate took us.
Yes. Yeah. Because, well, it's Dionysus and the Pirates is the story.
Yep. And so, now that said, we could still have gotten away with a pirate, but I think this, the rabbit hole of Pirate Bast did also combine with other things, and we ended up with Dionysus Bast.
Yeah, so many of these are rabbit holes that ended somewhere. Some of them are rabbit holes that went down, came back up into you. Some of these, like,
yep.
The rabbit holes just took twists and turns, y'all.
Yep. So I almost don't want to. Oh my God, B. Dylan Hollis would absolutely do an onion pie. I know that reference. Me and my boys love his videos. I don't want to move off of because I haven't given people a chance to really enjoy this picture yet. I'll come back, but I'm looking for this one. Here we go. So what Julia referenced here, everybody, is um uh this was also, it's like, well, yes, library, sexy librarian Bast books, it's a good, our audience would love it, but we already had like classic, like, you know, nude reclining with book, you know, the
Hmm.
classic, almost a figure study slash pinup slash sexy Bast. It was sort of everything. um and this again, Julia, so good, so
Well, and
good.
I think this was a part of one of my first like pitches to you. Like, if we're gonna do the calendar, him asleep in the grass, Selim Tidger, but oops, all of his clothes are missing, and it's just kind of.
Yup.
But then you recommended a different book.
I did recommend it because I can never do it the easy way. Um, um, and what Julia was referencing is, because afterwards, after we have all the art, we're putting it in the actual like calendar, right? Oh, and on this one, because it's back and front and whatever, but we don't have, you don't get to see the actual month layout thing here.
Yeah.
But we have some notes from Julie and I, little footnotes, interesting facts, or like we banter, we talk about how the pitch came about. We also show off a bunch of the sketches that got us to where, uh, to the final image, or that we had to abandon on the way there. Um, but um, we also had to come up with titles for all of these. And so the title for, and some of times it's really a struggle because, this one we could have called Nude in Recline with Book, is sort of the classic
Nude and
way.
repose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nude in Repose with Book. Um, but, um, uh, but otherwise, what do you do? Like, what do you call this? And I'm trying to remember, like, like,
Because
uh, I can't
my
remember our bad ones or the ones we tried beforehand.
well, the one that I had just kind of as like the placeholder for this file was sunbathing and secrets because of
Yeah.
the, but that was like fine.
And
It
that's
was alliterative. It was,
a good title, but it's a great piece of art. And so, like, I always feel like if I can't do a really great title, that I'm not, that's my job. I got to write 4 words, right? Um, so, um, um, I titled this one, and I refused to hear any discussion of it once I came up with the title.
nope,
Ti-
it was
the,
it.
the title for this one is Reading Rainbow.
And like we were up until nearly midnight the night before we were supposed to submit this, coming up with the titles. And this was one of the ones towards the end where we were like, we're gonna keep coming back to it. We're gonna come back to it. And you were like, reading Rainbow, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, no, there's no argument now.
I said it and I just kept laughing hysterically. And then I started to sing it, and everyone's like, just,
Just do it. Just pull
just
the
fine.
trigger.
Just stop. Just stop. Just stop. Um, there
Mhm.
we go. And so, yep.
Stop
Uh,
it, Squoise.
yep. And there
Oh,
we go. So butterfly in the sky. See now. Oh my God, Julia, I'll shoot that video. That's our viral TikTok. I just have this image, right? And then I sing it, and it's like, take a look. It's in a book.
go with God, Pat. I can't. I can't be an accessory to this one. Although I am because I made the art.
Yeah, huh? You're in for a penny, in for a
I
pound.
know. I know.
Um, now I skipped away from the other sketches. And just to come back here, there's sexy that. And so we flipped through some. Yeah, here's the very good, I love this ugly version of the cat with the fireman.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. It's so good. Um, and then here's the sketch. Um, the original sketch of the Emberly and Bast one. Now here's one. Um, where I mean, how about this? I think you wanted to do a sexy pirate, and that's just sensible. But we didn't get to it, and that's my fault. um, Circuit Overlord referring to Bast as pansexual is very funny, and I want you to know that I've acknowledged your joke, and it's a good joke.
Mm-hmm.
But I needed to do that, so I didn't miss it. I kept wanting to do one where there was horny elves that had tied Bast up. Which is, I would argue, similarly universal, although it's not, absolutely not. It's like you have
I don't
sexy
know.
pirates.
These are your people who am I to judge?
But we also, like, it was one of those where I knew I was getting so fiddly, it was standing in the way of us getting there, and so we had to lay that one down.
Well, and that was one where it was within the last week of this getting done, and I was trying to make a version of that work where I was referencing Booger, I was referencing Waterhouse, and I just remember sitting at my kitchen counter with my iPad, like clutching my head, like I went to the bathroom and I saw just like hand marks where I was just thinking and sketching, and then I came up with the one that we did for October, and I'm glad that worked. But that was like the biggest sigh of relief that I'm like, oh, I got to do one with Fae legs and in the Fae, and I think it worked. But I don't, that
Oh, no,
was
it's
just
so good. And so I want to come back here and get us to it. Here,
because
this
that
one.
was such
This
a
one,
crazy piece of work.
everybody, if I leave Julia alone and just fucking let her art, this is what you get. This is what you get, which means not only was I superfluous to this process, I thought back, because and here's the other thing, because I am who I am and I'm nothing if not self-aware. I did talk to Julia and I said, hey, at some point I might not be able to help anymore, in which case you are fully authorized to carry the ball through to the end and work with the team if I have to go do other things and I'm too busy or my head is full or I can't be available. And at one point I shot up that flare and I went, Toof. I go, sorry, I'm out. I either threw down the mic or the smoke bomb or whatever. And
Batman.
I wasn't, Batman out of there. And it was only actually for like 3 days instead of forever. But when I shot up the flare, it felt like it was going to be forever. But I came back to this sexy fairy Bast and threw down the gauntlet. Yes. And yes, this magnificent man spread.
I think I have in the sketches too. I started like him a little bit more with his knees like together, and God bless my best friends who I told you this, Pat. Uh, I was like, okay, guys, how do I just bring this to the next level? And they were just like, spread him, yesify him. They were just like, so took me to the level he needed to go to because, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
And I would zoom in a little bit. Can I? I don't feel like there's a great way I can do it here in this without just spending a lot of time being frustrated with the technical aspects of Zoom. But his expression here also, like, there's nothing that isn't excellent here, but it all, like, what is it's not a sundae if you don't have that cherry on it. And the cherry is his expression where he's like, this is nothing so innocent as a smolder. Like, He's like, yeah, like, and I like this, yeah. And I will also say that the original version of this did not have uh, a
Yeah.
modesty drape.
No, and that was something I was going back and forth. And nearly everyone in our tight circle who I showed this to, our trusted bubble, was like, okay, but like is it covered like that? Or are we like, what are we doing? Should it have a loincloth? And that was the main question. So I think you opting for the cloth just got rid of all the questions. We're good.
It's the other thing is, and it it was I write for the second read, and in some ways my art feedback is usually for the second look or the third look or the fourth book or look, um because I always want to, I'm like, they might not see it right away, but if this is good enough for people to look at a lot, what'll they see next? What else is there for them?
Mhm.
And I looked and I'm like, this boy though, he's throwing some vibe. And then I was like, to be clear, what's our term from way back when I was doing the art for the Pairs deck with Nate? Does anyone remember that? Because I had to have the conversation with Nate. It's like, do we go full frontal? And I'm like, I can get away with it. I could try to sell James Ernest on an X-rated, like, uh Pairs deck, one of his 13 in his Kickstarter. But um I'm trying to think. Oh, I remember I made a joke about tasteful sidecock. Um and I said, "Hey Nate, women are shown full frontal all the time and whatever." I'm like, "Let's get in there, draw it for me, and we'll go from there." And he did, and I'm like, "You did a great job. There's no way that this is not so distracting that it ruins everything else that we've done in the image." And also some people would be like, "This can't be in my house. I can't
Yeah.
buy this for my child." And it's a shame, but you know, uh, but with this, to be clear, there was not any tasteful elf dong in this picture that
No.
Julia drew, and it was fine. It was just a very manly satyr bulge. I'm trying to be
Would have been another title.
manly satyr bulge of the satyr bulge. Um, but and so I looked at it and I'm like, wow, he's selling this mood. And then I'm like, eventually it was like, on the second, not even the second, then there's the third, and around the third or fourth look, I was like, but where's his biz? And once I asked that question, I couldn't unask it. And that
Pat
was
was haunted by it.
yeah, we're all haunted by
The biz.
by the biz. So, and that's why we went for the drape. We could have gone without it, but actually, I like your ability. The purple one on the side was always there.
Mm-hmm.
And
And for a compositional thing, that was just to cut the horizontal that was cutting across the whole side. Like, then your eye keeps going down and around. So that's why it was there. It was just for a compositional reason. But then Pat was like, "Oh, you can just have that kind of come over and boop boop."
And I didn't know why I liked it, but I'm like, oh, this is great. What an expression. Oh, so sexy. And then I'm like, also, P.S., I love the purple cloth. And because I couldn't get over the purple cloth even before we used it as the drape. So, but now it does. It really pulls the eye in that direction. And you're left thinking, like, what does he have going on? All that is that
Well,
is that
and
velvet?
you saw the composition notes I had where I turned this to black and white. I'm like angle, 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 and it was all every angle, all roads led to the crotch. Like
Yes.
that was very purposeful.
Yep. Yep. And it worked. And it was, and in some ways I regret, like, there was just it's like, check me out. It was like, it was the platonic form of the man spread, you know?
Well,
Um,
that'll be in the calendar after dark.
yeah.
We will unsheath him.
Yeah. So there's one other thing that I know I want to look at and show off. It's the apple picking one. But Julia, of all the pictures you sent or the things we haven't had it. Oh, and we if you have a little more time, we can throw it open to
Oh
Q
yeah,
and A as well. But
yeah.
is
Q and
there
A's
any
good.
of these pictures that you sent or that's here that you'd like me to bring up and that you would like to talk about? Or
Um, Goodness, let me just re-bring up the Google Drive because we have so many that
and
I
I
have some
did
that
trim a
come to
few
mind.
out that were either the spoilery ones or the
Yeah.
sketches of the spoilery ones.
Well, and someday I would love to talk about the spoiler ones too, like not today, but
We'll do that. Maybe uh, just the week after we'll do an art talk with you and Nate after the book is out.
yeah, that would be awesome because some of my favorites to talk about are definitely the ones
Oh
that
my
would
gosh,
spoil some
yes.
things.
Oh yeah.
Oh, an easy one that, wouldn't take terribly long because I can imagine uh, you probably want to talk about Tumnus.
Oh, I
Um,
forgot. I forgot that we have yet to show that off. I'm so proud of Tumnus.
uh, the easy pull for me is the oil painting one
Cool.
because I told you I pulled that over. I have the actual
Oh, here,
oil
yeah, yeah.
painting. Yeah. So we can also pull up the calendar one because digitally I just kind of made it the right size. But this is the one that happened before the calendar was real.
Oh, hold on. It will be you, Julia, because I just
Oh,
flipped
okay.
through. It's not in here for some
No,
reason.
you are A-okay. I will just bring it in. But yeah, this is the one when we were going back and forth about the book, and there were so many scenes where I was like, okay, yeah, but what about that Bast calendar though? Um, and then I kind of did this painting as a bit. Well, actually, I might have put the initial sketch for it in the sketch file for you.
Let's
I
peek
have a black
there.
and white rendering of it, and once I did that sketch, I was like, that looks like I know how I would paint that. Kind of like how I was talking about the water one with you, where I'm like, I just know how I would paint Bast in the water, and that's why it's kind of lodged in my head.
And you know what it is? It's that in the on the back of the calendar, there's four grouped together that I'm like, put a censored over these four, and that's one of the four. Not because I
Oh,
consider it spoilery, but because we can cover those up and show off all the other images. So that's why I don't have the
I
sketch in here
gotcha.
for that one
No, it
either.
is a-okay. But this is an easy one for me to talk about just because I have like a physical one here and that's fun for me. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that
and
is
so hold it up again here because I gotta say, and again, it's any art is more art than I can do, but like oil painting is particularly impressive and terrifying for me because oil painting is the opposite of what I do, which is to because you can only touch it so many times before you ruin it, right, Julia?
yeah, kind of it depends on your style. I won't diatribe, but no, I mean there is a certain amount of muddiness you could get into, and I heard this great term from one of the artists I look up to. She was like, muddiness is only a color that doesn't have a name yet, and I'm like, I like that. But no, I mean, yes and no. It's forgiving because it stays wet for so long. You could just scrape it right off, but again, there's a big learning curve to oil. That's kind of the trickiest part. But
Yeah.
now it's hard for me to go back to acrylics because I like to take my time and mix colors now. And now I sound like a sailor every time I work with acrylics because I'm like, I just mix that. Come on.
And they
Like,
dry so fast. Is that the yeah?
yeah, then my pre-mixture is just, it's gone, all my hard work. So, um, yeah, no, I'm happy with these apps.
Yeah, no, you sold it there. That tortoise shell. Yeah. To
But
answer the question here, and how about this? Let's. Oh, and maybe we'll do a little more reveal here, and then a little bit of Q&A. Do you have time for that, Julia?
oh yeah, sure.
Cool. So here, this is the one that, like, almost all of these, obviously Julia did all of them, and so many of the best ones are just the concept she did or she fixed or she ignored my fiddling but this one was my concept and I pitched it. Now I can't take credit for the little call out, which Julia, this wouldn't work without it, and it's fucking brilliant. Um but um but I wanted this and I knew that it was a fool's errand. However, as opposed to the other foolish ones that I did lay down, somehow Julia made this one work. Right? That bit of red, because like Tumnus has a red scarf and he's always depicted with the red scarf. And all you know about him is that he's a faun, he has a red scarf, he has a parcel, he has his umbrella. And there's Narnia. And as soon as you have the light post, though, it's got to be noir. And so noir, sexy, noir, Bast as Tumnus. Nobody asked for it, but I gave it to you anyway.
Well, and this one had so many other bits that were just like someday we'll draw those out and make a cartoon or something. But we kept going further, paring it down, and then we kind of hit it here. And as soon as I think you said like Sin City vibes or like something like that, I'm like, oh, there's the call out. Like,
yeah, and again, this would be great with it just like that, because people would be like, oh, I get it, and it's like, even if people aren't into noir, they get the vibe. And even if you aren't that into Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe, you're probably going to spot this. But the thing that actually makes it, sexy is that call out, So he's sort of vamping underneath that, and then you put it there, and it's like, and I can hear the saxophone that happens when the dame walked into my office on the coldest day of the year. Like that narrator starts talking over the top of it.
no, I've always had a soft spot for like when there's that noir lighting across a face, and I was like, oh my gosh, if I have an opportunity to do that with his eyes.
Yep. And yeah, it was just like, of
Yeah,
all the
Gamma
ones,
Liz, you look lost, kid.
you're, and then the one, I don't know how much we've showed it off yet. I think I did put it in the blog, but this might have been the last one we finished.
Yeah.
And it was Julia's initial pitch. And then I'm like, of course, if we're going to have a guest appearance, there should be an Ari in here. And then, and I'm so happy with how this turned out.
Well, and there was so many where we were like, what if we had a guest appearance here or there, or and that was tricky to figure out who fit where. And I think this was one that we kind of developed coincide, because I can't remember. I think we were playing with the idea of Ari, and then it's like, well, then we went back to the pinup idea, and then we were looking at pinup ladders and orchards, and it just kind of happened. And this was a really tricky one though, because as you guys can imagine, right? Like, how do you sell Ari in this sort of calendar. Like that feels so weird, but it only worked if we were able to sell that she's kind of embarrassed and like this, like and this went through so many different angles. And God bless Nate Taylor for kind of being my accountability buddy and comrade in going, does this work? And he was the one that said just flip it so she's facing the same way as him so it's more mirrored. um and yeah, no, that worked, and I just continue to hope it reads like she's mimicking him and they're having this little back and forth.
No, it's so good. It's so good. And again, I'm always so nervous of all the characters to depict. The only one that makes me more nervous than Kvothe is Ari. Like, and I'm always so impressed when somebody does it. And you are like somebody who's actually pulled it off on a couple of occasions. Um, but
I'm honored.
and it's just so there's you can do so many different versions of Ari so long as it has some of the essential things and some of the right things and none of the wrong things, and then it can be Ari. But yeah, it's just and again, you can see this here on your computer, on your phone. However nice you think this is, it's so much better. Like, big, like her expression, like, she's like, I'm doing it. And it's like, oh, sweetie, you are doing it. You're doing your best. Like, Bast is trying to show you how to vamp and be sexy for this thing. And you're like, and she's like, yay, look, I'm doing what you're doing. And it's like, you're doing your best and we love it. Thank you, Ari.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and this is one too that people can look forward to. I think at the end of the calendar we got more literary with the titles kind of go through a thing, right? Where at the beginning they're a little silly and then they go to reading Rainbow and then they get like deep dive literary references, and this is kind of the start of that era.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so lovely. So, now there's been a couple of questions. I've tried to sometimes chime in and I'll say a thing, but I'm torn. Maybe I'll leave it like this rather than bring us back to the two of us.
Yeah,
But
certainly.
if or just like the other thing, but I'll say, hey everybody, do you have any questions? Um, right now you can't buy the calendar art as separate prints. I think that is something that probably would happen later. But I don't want to put Julie on the spot and try to talk business with her now.
No, but
Um,
this is something that, I mean, I think me and Pat are kind of in a line here as well as other people in this bubble, right? Where we're thinking that would be a good idea in the future. So, more to come.
yeah. Because, and again, if this turned out so nice that we could sell 10,000 of these and I would still feel like not enough people had seen it. So, like,
Well, and aside from the prints, right, which are would be fun and great to have as individual things. I think we've mentioned it in passing a couple times, but the calendar has like our creative notes. It has
yeah.
sketches. It has alternate titles. It has our banter in it. So there's more to just having like uh a usable calendar, right? It's got more in it that it is more behind the scenes on the art. So if you enjoy that sort of thing, yeah,
Yeah. And,
it's got that too.
at this point, if you know me, folks, you know that I can't just do one thing. It's many things, and it's worth looking at several times. And there's a little extra in there for you because I might not be as fast as any of us want, but I always want, when you get the thing, I want you to be so pleasantly surprised. Which is why I only work with artists like Nate and Julia. Um, so um, so yeah, anybody have any? Oh, so one of the questions is, what's Julia's Instagram? And uh,
I'm try to make it easy for people. Everything is just first initial last name for me. That's everywhere, J Maddalina.
Yep. And if you scroll through here, we're throwing up to their website, to everywhere. Is oh, and Her Black Wings nailed it almost as fast as
Ah,
I could say it.
y'all are great, my fellow swords.
Oh, here we go. For the Q&A, can I ask, can you give any info or hints on, now somebody has been here on the chat a couple of times, Persimmon's orientation. Percy, uh, Simmon in the book, that is his full name, is Persimmon, which he hates and will be
That's
angry if anyone finds. Did you not know, Julia?
no, but I was gonna say as soon as I heard about that, that's a sketch that never made it to you because I didn't finish it. But I started a sketch that was swimming with persimmon. Speaking of another swimming thing.
So put that in the list, because swimming
Hmm.
with persimmon, that's, I like to go swimming with Bast and Persimmon and swim beneath or between their legs. That used to be an old song, I think. Or my grandpa used to say something like that.
That sounds like of that era.
I like to go swimming with bare naked women and dive between their legs. I just now got that joke, everyone, because I heard it when I was a child and I didn't understand things as much.
Good and clever, Pat Rothfuss.
I know I was very thick and didn't understand sex when he was young, Pat Rothfuss. Um, uh, it doesn't swim between their legs. It's Jesus. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Um, um, uh, so here somebody says, "Hey, what are the chances of us getting an illustrated Name of the Wind and Wise Man's Fear?" That is, it's nice that you think that we would have control of something like that, but that is sort of like saying, "Hey, when are you going to make when are the two of you going to get together and make a movie?" It's a fun thing to think about, but that framing the question that way is sort of like saying it's proposing a project, and we can't do a good job answering that, because either we're going to build up your hopes or yeah, it just doesn't work out.
I will say, and I wish this art was more to the level that I would want it to be today, but if you've been to my website and scrolled through my King Killer area, I my whole college thesis back before I knew Pat was I was a crazy spiteful illustrator who wanted the painting department to notice her. So I did a thesis that was all 5 foot by 6 foot paintings, and they were all inspired by the Name of the Wind. So if you want to see my take on that, again, the quality is whatever. I had 6 months to do a bunch of giant paintings, but that is where you can find, I guess, my take on that. In the meantime, to kind of give you an answer to that question, but
And that's back when I was more on top of my fan mail, thank goodness, because that's how we met.
yeah,
Um,
that was. I mean, I was shitting myself because I was like, oh, this is never gonna, happen. Like, I'll throw out my hat and be like, okay, well, I just want you to know I'm doing this thing. Farewell, and you were so kind as to look over my stuff with me, and I was very, very fortunate that
I think my
we.
response might have been pics or it didn't happen. Um, uh, I saw another question here. Oh, the novella will be published in Spanish. So yes, but when, I don't know off the top of my head. So yeah, it'll be translated in many, but it probably won't be coming out at the same time because the production timelines for that probably didn't work out. It's a lot to translate. Um, and um, there are no semicolons in the calendar. Um, um, Sounds like somebody needed a gallery show called "To Spite Into the Wind, period, with
Yeah.
paint. That would be a good title.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, does Ari know about plums and does she like them? Plums do exist in the world and they are a temperate. So yeah, she would know about plums. For me to say whether or not she liked them, that would be spoilery.
I
Um,
would say to that most recent question, if you want to have a good year, you should not hang out with an iron nail.
um, this is the first time I've heard Kvoth said aloud. Uh, however you do it is okay with me, but that's how I do it. Um, oh, so somebody here is like, I know the autographs are quite taxing and time consuming. So do you have a tentative timeline for when we could expect to receive a signed? I have already signed those. They are being pre-packaged right now. So if you've already ordered yours, the sooner you order yours, the sooner it gets shipped. And also, I'll tell you a little secret since you're here on my stream, which means you're devoted and you're one of my favorites. Nate Taylor came out to pay a visit, and Nate also graciously donated some of his time, and
Nate
then
is the
Nate
best.
signed some of those books. And so if you pre-ordered a book, then you're going to get one of those. You're going to get one of those fancy ones that there are only some of. And then after the pre-order stops and we switch over, since it's for charity, those will be a little bit more. But you got in early and we appreciate you jumping on board. So ding ding. Um, um, yeah. And we were considering doing the same with Julia to get Julia to sign these calendars. The problem is, like, a lot of times people give calendars as gifts, or if they're shipped, they're in plastic to keep them safe. And that means we would either need to take the plastic off or take it off and put it on. And it just like signing. Do you sign the front? And you don't see it all year. Does she sign it 12 times? Oh no, you can see the
Yeah.
problem there. So my
Yeah, we were
advice
trying to
is
math it.
you buy 2 of the calendars. One of them you have on your wall. The other one you carry with you at all times. In case you ever run into Julia.
Julia's a little bit of everywhere all the time.
She is.
Like Mary Poppins.
Like Mary Poppins
A
and
very tired Mary
very
Poppins.
tired Mary Poppins. And she is unfixed in time and space. Sort of like the Doctor.
God, I'm gonna put that as my bio now. I am unfixed in time and space.
uh, I mean, and then you want a third one because one of them you have in your backpack, but the other one you have in your car in case you leave your backpack at home and you see Julia.
Yeah, I will say I won't call them out unless they want to be called out, but I did meet one of your Twitch chat like this past week on the road, and I'm
See?
like, it did happen.
It
It does
happens.
happen.
Yep. Rupert Degas is narrating the UK audiobook. I did a stream with him last week. First time getting to chat with him. And I'm not saying we're now best friends and we're going to live in a tree fort all the time and eat zebra cakes. But he was great. We talked, me and Rupert and Nick talked for 3 hours. It was fun, but also I felt bad, but also it was a great stream. The video on demand is over there.
Yeah, that was one that I saw was going on, and that's one of the yeah, it was Bast and Cider. Hello. Yeah, it's very rare that I completely miss one of your streams, but that was one where I was just running around and traveling, so I'll have to go back and watch that VOD myself.
It's a lot. It was sort of, I always feel like I've gone on too long. Like here, I feel bad So I'm like, hey, want to do a quick stream, like maybe an hour and change, and it's like 2.
Yeah.
And but that one, when I asked them before we started, I'm like, do you guys have a heart out at the top of the hour? Can you stick around a little longer if the Q&A is going well? They're like, yeah. And one guy said, my kids are in bed, so I have no commitments. And the other one said, I'm fine. I told them to not bother me for the next 3 hours. And I'm like, boy, that's very sweet, but I'm not going to keep. And then I did actually absolutely keep them that long. It was such a good conversation.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It did look like they were having fun too. I hope that I wouldn't misread the room that badly that I made them stick around.
You are forced here
Now,
in this chat.
here's what I'll say. Very important question. Why is Kvothe 16 when he goes into the Fae? Shouldn't he be 18 because of maturity? What can I say here that isn't going to be snipped and put on TikTok and make me sound like just a monster? There's a lot of people who shouldn't be operating a fork on their own at the age of 18, let alone making a baby, driving a car, voting for anything. And there's a lot of people at the age of 14 who are brilliant, clever, empathetic, kind, stunningly handsome, funny, considerate. I'm talking about, one of my children, and me at 14 as well, because it's in the genes. So when you're like, shouldn't he have been 18 before he boned down? And I'm like, nah. Like, if he was 18 and an immature idiot, that doesn't mean it's okay for him to bone down. Also, can we, like, also, I feel like that would have been so convenient it would be cowardly, And it's like, and then 3 years went by and then I had sex. Like, in Buffy, it was literally her birthday. So they're like, you can't get on us for this. It's her birthday. She has sex with Angel. Sorry, spoiler alert. Like, yeah, fine. I get it. You didn't want to, like, get taken off the air or whatever. But really? Also, what makes you think Kvothe was mature? What makes you think anyone is mature? Like, nobody's brain finishes develop until they're almost 30. Maturity is an illusion. It's a myth. Doesn't exist. Have
That's
sex
why we're here talking about butts.
Yeah.
But I will say to that, like, not the sex point, but when I was getting into figure drawing, so nude life models, I was 14, and my first mentor, amazing guy, he lived in Monaco for 30 years. So when I first met him and he's like, I see that you're doing things that you don't know you're doing consciously, and I want to teach you how to do that. But if we were, and he was talking to my parents, and he was like, if we were in France, this wouldn't even be a question. But can she come do figure stuff?
I got you.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's cultures and norms. I know that's not
Well,
as
no, no,
far,
no.
but it's
And actually, that is the better point. I realized I should come back to it. No, I did say there are a lot of people who shouldn't operate a fork, not a forklift. There's 3/4 of the human population should not operate a forklift. I'm saying that there are some people who are 18 years old that should not be trusted with a fork. Spork at best. And if you're wondering who they are, I will take on that role of defining who is on which side of that line. I'm comfortable with that. But Julia's point of bringing, if you want to call what we have in this society morality, into another world, a different culture, a different place, a different time, it doesn't work so well, And similar, moving their morality into this. Now, here's what I will say. Officially, here's my official stance. Don't have sex with anybody who's under 18. If you are under 18, boy, think about that a whole lot. You're probably not nearly as smart as you think you are. No offense if you're young and watching my stream. I love you. I thought I was real smart too. I was not as smart as I thought I was. But also I didn't do it until way later than 18, so I got lucky there. Nobody was interested. But yeah, like, also our culture, especially here in America, we're real weird and bad about sex. I'm not saying everywhere else is better, because there's some other places that are worse. It's very complicated. But like, and again, everyone is always like, they bring up Fullerian and they're like, ugh, now here's the part of the book that's all full of sex. And I'm like, Quoth straight up murders like 12 dudes in cold blood. Straight up, just not in self-defense, straight up fucking murks people with malice and intention, like first degree, multiple, fucking worse than Batman. Like Batman doesn't kill people, Quoth does. There's a t-shirt. And like, and then you're like, oh, but he had that sex. Shouldn't he? Nobody ever says, maybe he should have maybe only murdered 3 people. Never once has one person brought up that or violence of any sort to me.
Yeah.
So, like, so how about this? I'll just say, not to pick a fight, if you're really worried about Quoth having consensual sex with a hot fairy, but you have never worried about him straight up murdering people and then walking away and, after a little bit of reflection and sleeping well every night, you might want to think about what that says about your values, or maybe the media you've been exposed to your whole life, where if murder is normal and fun sex is immature or dangerous or whatever, it's like, boy, just think about that. Off and on until just think about it. Also, time is different in the Fae, so he could have been 18. Ha ha! Yeah, you can't fucking send me to jail, you sons of bitches. I have already thought it. I'm 10 moves ahead. You think I didn't figure that out? You think that I wasn't ready? Get fucked when you're an indeterminate age because you've been to fairy, says Pat Rothfuss.
Pat, this is every time me and Nate talk about Bast being maybe inconsistent between each of our draws, we're like, it's glamoury! Smoke bomb!
This did come up, and I'm like, oh boy, there's so much idealization of the form, and in some ways it's more acceptable to do it to a man, because we're not really reinforcing the already unhealthy body image of women. But that said, making it bad for everybody isn't making it better. That said, but then we're like, but also, like, you don't do a sexy calendar, it's not sexy.
Yeah.
But also, and it's like, really though? And somebody in here said, Bass kind of just lays around and he can't even be fucking bothered to read. If that's how lazy you are, how do you get those abs? And it's like, how? For one, those fairy genetics are pretty great. But 2, that glamoury though.
Yeah. Because that was something for a long time where I was like, oh man, do we show like bare human legs with Basta? I mean, who cares? It's a sexy calendar, right? But that got to me. That's why initially when he was laying down in the grass, I was like, do I like do the side butt? And that's why the initial sketches were like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how much you overthink it, the one service I provide to Julie is that I have overthought it more, so she never needs to feel bad. Although we do overthink in different ways, which is a delight. It means I don't have to feel like I'm carrying the whole thing.
No, we just make two side by side rabbit holes.
Yep.
Just make the rabbit hole bigger.
Um, um, can Bast swap abs? uh, is he taller in the picture? Is he glamour? Is he more ripped? Glamour. Yep. Like,
Hmm.
I also am a big fan of homogeneity through. No, hold on. It's uniformity through non-homogeneity. Which, with my luck, that will be the phrase that I've created that sticks. Which it's clunky and ugly, but it has become one of my watchwords, watch phrase, concept that's important to me.
Yeah.
Also, the year is a little longer in Temerant, just to be, to throw off your math more. All the weeks
Yeah.
are 11 days, and there's the different number of months. Um,
God, that's another one, right? That's the eternal calendar. We just make a Temerant calendar and then it's always up.
we did, yeah. Um, um, the Ouroboros of overthinking. That's what it says on my business card. Okay, so now, sort of last call for Q&A, like, again, kind of maybe, like, not hugely deep questions, a little more focused on art or the calendar, or conceivably the book, but I can't talk too much about the book, because you haven't read it, nobody's read it, and I don't want to do spoilers. Um, um, Can mirrors, moonlight, and babies' minds reveal or see through glamoury? There are things that can abrogate glamoury. Oh, Julia. Now, how about this? Deshun, I like your question. I'd like you to use a word other than inspiration because that's weird. It's not weird, it's very common. I find it a very slippery term. So, can you ask, Julia, what are your, and then use a word other than inspiration because it means it's almost like you have to idealize someone or something. But sometimes somebody does a good thing you like, but not the rest of it, or they're not a person you like. Not to bring my bullshit into your question, Julia.
No, it is a-okay. More specificity is always helped with inspiration because I can go off in about 20 different directions with that. And real quick, Wizard Judge said, did you work strictly in oils? This one is the only one that was in oil strictly in this one. Actually, real quick, the fireman started in oil and then I took
Yeah.
it further and did more with it digitally. Uh, but I wanted to do more, but the amount of back and forth we were doing and all of our ideas were coming and going so quickly that it just wasn't like conducive to me doing all oils. But I do have other Bast oil paintings and stuff. It's my love, it's my joy, but we just couldn't make it work for this. But that's why that these two are kind of unique. But Deshun, what has influenced you in your artistic journey, style, and composition you use? So,
So feel free
golly,
to pick any of those. You don't have to do all of them.
yeah, I will say, oh, okay, that helps to narrow it down. I will say early influences were things like old artists like John Singer Sargent, Norman Rockwell. I love the Norman Rockwell Museum. His narratives are great. I think that kind of set me on the path of being a traditional illustrator in a lot of ways. Um, but there's so many modern masters and people who I got a lot from talking about my old master. His name is Steve Carpenter. But then I took from a billion different people who it would just be easier to say are part of the Portrait Society of America. And if you look up them, I've studied with a good number of them, and they are also my inspiration, just to kind of make it easier. Um, Gosh, there's a lot of really good questions now.
I did
Uh,
see, and I gotta. Are you good there? I don't want to
oh,
step
I'm
on your
good here.
answer.
No, no, this is it could go on for too much longer.
I,
So if
I,
you want to ask me more about that, come over to my Twitch chat sometime. Hey.
yeah. Uh, I will also say one of the many reasons I love working or talking, just being around people who are very into anything, but also people who do creative stuff and are and are into it and like really want to do it well, which you would assume is everyone, but it's not, and that's okay. But like those people are my kind of crazy. And so then Julia's like, so I kind of pulled from a blah blah blah, and I go, tell me that, talk about that. Like you said something about light, and there was a bunch of names, and then she's like, oh right, and then I see her kind of like turn her vocabulary all the way down, because like she says, I live color. It's like I'm the opposite of color. Like I dress like a cartoon character. As a child, I'm like, I'm going to dress myself. And I put on a red shirt and my red tennis shoes and my pair of red jeans.
Aw.
And red socks. And I went out and I'm like, I'm ready to go. And my mom's like, oh, honey, no. And like took the clothes off me and dressed me better. And I gave up. And I'm like, well, fuck every bit of this forever. And I never cared again or tried again, period. And usually when I do try, I'm reminded, it's like, nope, don't, whatever, I have a negative affinity for this. But I love hearing Julia. But the treat for me is that I get to hear Julia talk about light and talk about composition and talk about the angles. There's two reasons I wish that like everyone could just sort of be a fly on the wall for some of our conversations. One, so that you could appreciate Julia, like what she goes through to just my wild, just I won't shut up about fucking whatever. But also so that you could then see what Julia brings to the conversation, which is brilliant. Like, and she knows so many of these things about the craft that I love hearing about, even though I never personally will be able to apply them.
Well, and I feel like I'm such a menace when I talk about it. I'm going on and on and on. So I'm really glad to hear you appreciate it. But also when you say like what I go through, like so many of your stories and metaphors and stuff have lodged in my brain and really helped me, and I still use them. So it really I enjoy it too.
Thank you. And that is nice. And it's nice for me to hear. Thank you. I will stop there and not backpedal in a Midwestern way, although that's so my intention.
Oh, God,
my
I was
tendency.
bullying my friend I was with this past week. We're both artists, and I would compliment her, and she would backpedal, and I would just get it so aggressive. I'd be like, take the compliment.
Yep. Where was somebody says, what about selling golden pipe pins? I have made them, but I do not sell them. I only give the golden pipe pins away. Because Badali jewelry is cool. You can buy the silver pipes from them or from the World Builder store. Where are the questions that I saw? Oh, right. So, Julia, if you had to pick a favorite of all of the images, well, of the ones of the 8 that I have teed up here, not right among the 4 forbidden ones, although you can include your oil painting one. So out of those 9,
right,
gun to your head, you have to pick which one.
Can I say? I want to say the Emberly one because there's aspects of it that remind me of Bouguereau, and I had a lot of fun doing it, and there's a lot of joy in that one. And then the other side of that spectrum of also I love it is the Faye Daddy one, the Prince of the Fae.
Yeah. I will say if I had to pick, I'm really torn between, I mean, there's sometimes I flip through the images and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot that one. No, this is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I'm impressed by this calendar. My friend Mark, who did the graphic design on it, killed it. And Julia's versatility and her expertise here is amazing. I'm impressed by those things. This is the one I get to feel a little proud of, because like I feel like a lot of these could have come about without me, but this one only happened. Only I could have done this madness. That said, if I was going to pick a favorite, I do think it's got to be this one. It's just, it's like these are the two. This is Slow Regard of Apple Narrow Roads right here. This is their celebrity mashup coupleness.
Yeah, the novella too.
Um, um, and then favorite image. I'm just catching up here in the chat.
Yeah.
Everybody loving you, Julia here.
Y'all are too sweet.
Arledin, we could do boys of, Simon, because you know what people would be surprised by? Like, Simon is taller than Kvothe. Simon, he doesn't carry himself big. Simon, honestly, you like put a straw hat on him and take his shirt off, he's gonna look like a farm boy. Simon has like 5 older brothers. Like, poor Simon, he just carries himself very small. So swimming with persimmon, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, that is lived in my head. I don't even have that as a note. That is just in my head.
Yay, thanks for pre-ordering. The calendar will still be available. Now we have finalized our print numbers, fair warning. And so it'll be there till it sells out. I did not create my usual sin, which is, and I'm like, well, certainly we will sell an extra 800 in the final 2 weeks of December when no one's online. I didn't do that because I didn't want to do an eco crime and shred these calendars, or, so.
Hope we're proud of you.
If you want it, order it sooner rather than later, because probably not going to do a second print run. Where was? I mean, Eladin. We could just do all the boys of Temerant. BOI.
That is. Oh my God! And then you do Kilvin near it. Kilvin can just be at the forge.
Kilvin, oof, they got some daddy energy from Kilvin, right? If I worked out, I could work out for 6 months and then really have a moment of clarity and in no way pose for Kilvin. But I could do a better Uncle Iroh cosplay.
Oh
then.
God, that would be fun. Now we're just getting
the chat is going a little faster. I mean, Eladin, I can imagine like all of them. You could just put the masters that like have all the masters like all like doing whatever, and like right in the middle is Eladin like, look at my entire business, and everyone else is like, they're like no, or like they're like I'm leaving or whatever. It'd be like the Last Supper, except
I was just thinking that. Oh my God, speaking of, I'll tell you about this later. Sorry.
Okay. Now, oh boy, now everybody is saying Daddy Kilvin. An anvil and a smile. Gosh, all of these Kilvin ones are really good. Like and Arledin's a little easy. Arledin is like, like like it's pretty much he's a Bast type. He is classically attractive, dark-haired, sharp-featured, rakish, whatever. It's like, sure. But like Kilvin, the reason Kilvin gets it interesting is like, it's like, who but that ever burning lamp though? Like, how
Hmm.
big that hammer though? You know,
Like
like,
there's a lot there that I mean, and again, I think in color, right? So I'm like, oh my God, the rim lighting and the forged light and all of the sweat and like the things you
hmm
could do there.
hmm
Yeah.
and you get some full of metal alchemist, like those. There was those two. Got the guy with the ringlet, like the two beefy dudes who just obviously loved like being beefy.
Hmm.
Um, um, um. Oh yes. Oh my gosh. Like that would be a very sweet one, Lazy. Adagon. Tempe would have absolutely no body shame, but what would be
Oh my God.
intimate for Tempe is like you could see him like he's looking around the corner at Quoth playing music, but he's facing away from you, so it's his full ass, like he's just naked and ripped, but he's looking around because like that's what he's back. He's like, look at my
Yeah.
ass, I don't care, but I can't let him know
And
that I'm listening to him play music. That would
and
be
that's what's fun
amazing.
with your characters too, is because it's like Ari being it all, haha, is like her out and even playing pretend in it, right? So there's certain characters where it's like we're not playing to everyone else's ideas of what's sexy, what's provocative or anything. It's what's that for that character, and there's so many that would be so interesting.
And you know, I think it's implied at one point where like when we're kids we all see our teachers, and I think it was in an old Calvin and Hobbes strip, and he's like, you saw my teacher at the grocery store? And it's like, well, of course they buy groceries. Just so what did you think they did over the summer? It's like, I like hang from the you know, hang from their feet in a cave like a vampire or something. um but at one point like Kvothe sees Kilvin, and Kvothe is like, what are you doing here? It's a beautiful day out. And the implication that he's been like out swimming, like,
Yeah.
and also cultural mores being different. Of all the teachers that I think the students come after, if you have daddy issues, you actually go after Arladin. And not judging, just saying. And that's not a good choice because he doesn't give a shit. So let go of that. Find somebody who'll treat you right. But if you have daddy issues, then it's Kilvin.
I just, here's the thing. I know people are clipping things, and I know like you're doing this, and then I'm under. So you're doing this to us. Like you were.
uh,
Uh,
uh.
I don't know why my camera's doing this thing. Who knows?
Oh,
Whatever.
Abinthy. Sexy Abinthy? Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then here somebody's like, fuck Ambrose. He doesn't get shit. Ambrose doesn't
No.
get to be in the calendar. Fuck him.
No, he's in the background like scooping. Yeah, he's with the mules, right? He's
Abinthy, gosh,
oh,
Abinthy. And
sorry.
with yeah, like Abinthy with the donkey. Like, and not, but also, yeah, like there were two
I,
donkeys. They were called Alpha and Beta, weren't they? A tinker. Sexy tinker.
Sorry,
Oh,
there's been several times where this has come to mind for me, Pat, and that's why I said never mind, but I'm just gonna
are you going to send me
send this.
something?
Yeah, because I don't know if you remember this stupid thing I did,
Oh
which
no.
is
Oh
most
no.
things, but the chat has reminded me so
Where is
many
it?
times,
Oh
and
my god, yes. Oh my god, yes. Oh, everybody. Oh man. Oh man. This, tee this up. We will, like, when we're doing stuff with these pieces of art, like next year when we're doing posters or like honestly Valentine's Day cards, right?
Yeah.
But
We'll
we
we'll
should also this. I want to do something with this.
okay. We'll
Gosh, I
keep it
love
a
it.
secret.
I
But
love it so
there's been
much.
multiple things y'all in the chat have said that I'm like, oh God, I this is something I did merged with the mind of Nate Taylor. And
So
this is why
good.
me and Nate should not hang out. Like we do,
It's
but we should
it's
not.
why you should always hang out all the time. Sexy puppet.
Oh my God.
See, people have been saying Viari, and I'm like, yeah, that's my D&D. And I'm like, oh no, the original Viari, whose name I stole because I liked it. Like
It's a good
Viari,
name.
yeah, like Viari, the original sexy librarian, like one part Indiana Jones, one part sexy librarian.
Well, and there was a sexy librarian idea that I had that kind of also, they fizzled out. But one of the ideas I had, it was kind of similar to the Flashdance one, where he would be laying on one of the study tables with it, like he set up like a romantic date by candlelight and stuff, but candles, but in the library. So,
Oh my god, that is yeah, I
you know, and,
remember.
and then it would be Lauren running out
Yeah,
as if Dioc up at the,
yeah, yeah. Oh, and that's what I'm sorry. I misspoke before. That was a weird crosswire in my head. I said Arledin is who you go to if you have daddy issues. I meant to say Lauren.
Oh,
Master Lauren is the one. If you have daddy issues, you try to get with Lauren. It's a bad choice. You know, that's not a good relationship. Uh, yeah, not Arledin. Arledin's a great guy. He's a good dad. You know, good partner. I'm gonna sing to you. Um, I mean, Diak and Stanchion. I mean, see that one gets to be very sweet because
I
looks
would
like
love to illustrate that.
Diak looks like um an Adonis, and Stanchion looks like Bacchus. You know,
Oh, damn.
because Stanchion's got some Fezziwig vibes from the Alistair Sim Scrooge, or like he's got some Hobbit. You know, he's regular dude. He's regular height. He's a little pudgy. You know, he drinks ale and looks at musicians for a living. And Diak looks like he just got done like building you a house.
That's awesome. They would be very fun to
Yeah.
illustrate. I'd be so into that.
And I'd like to, yeah, I actually know the vibe too. I'd like them just together, like in some state of dishevel or undress or whatever, and Stanchion being in no way self-conscious, but Diak just loving on him, just like arms around him, like you're my sweet boy. That's
That
what
is
I'd
so
like to see
cute.
there.
Yeah.
Um, um, yeah, like I said, sexy Abinthy. That's gonna work.
Scoys, that was almost one of them.
We did try, and that was Julia's good idea, is strip tack. But as a single image, it's hard to. What's the difference between? No, I know Julia could have like, oh, it's obvious you can show emotion.
Yeah, and then the thing that I was talking about with Nate is like, what's the move and tack that gets you to, it. There was a lot of roadblocks, let's
Yeah,
say.
I mean it would, and that's the problem. It's not like, oh, I took your queen. Pieces don't come off the board. Oh my god. You know what strip tack would be? It'd be like fucking burlesque, where it's like I've covered up your pieces. So give me those. It's like, oh, those pieces are now uncovered. I'm going to put that clothes back on. You fucked up. You're like,
Oh my God.
and it's like da 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 da.
Yeah.
Now a hoodie, now a mask. You're fucked. Like you don't get to
Yeah.
see anything, and I
Yeah. No,
win.
strip tack would make for a very fun animated short, or like a short of some, like I think it's told better through movement and through time than it is a still, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I have only been to one burlesque show, and it was the effectively the Olympics of burlesque that they hold every year in Vegas, because I
Goddamn.
had some friends that did it, and it's pretty much they invite people from literally all over the world. You submit your entries and it's judged and you get to come. And so I know someday I will see another burlesque show and be like, but why isn't anyone dressed up as a horse? Why isn't this a sad clown man? That it was the most amazing burlesque, and it was like guy had somewhere between, he looked like he was rodeo clown, 60 years old, hard life burlesque, and sad.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I saw one that was backwards in time but still sexy. I saw one that went forwards then back. I saw the one was literally a horse, and I laughed until I stopped. So like, but some of those people could have pulled off strip tack burlesque. I would love to
Yeah.
see if anyone wants to do that on their TikTok. That would make my day.
Yeah.
Sexy Scrail. Um, I mean, sexy. Oh, there you go. Sexy and Canis and Taylor. Yeah,
There's so many.
wrestling.
Actually, there's one. Did Nate ever show you the bast he drew?
I don't know if he did.
Ask him about the Incanis and Taylor one.
Oh my good. How about this though? Like, we're gonna do an art after the book comes out. So like, make sure to remind me there, and we'll make him show it on stream.
Good, good, because that one he was like, no one must ever see, but I'm like, no, people will see, Nate. People will see.
Yeah. Um. Okay. So somebody here has tipped their hand. They say the Incanna scene is inherently sexy. Oh, they said Intarbean. I thought you were talking about like effectively their version of like the Bible story of Incanus, and I'm like, not everybody is really into being chained up, but I think you're talking about something else, and I support you in your choices. Um, what do people think Taylor looks like in the Four Corners? Can we sex him up? I mean, you can sex up whoever you want in my books. You have my official permission. So,
That's a Pat Rothfuss stamp of approval.
uh,
Sex him up.
ambisextrous. Um, sexy Haliax. Um, okay, so it looks like I'm not saying that the conversation has descended from questions into whatever quantum particulate defines sexy.
But this is it. Listen, we've talked about we end the banter at finding a word. We pre-banter ends when we're ready to start the conversation. The conversation ends when we just start talking about who is the sexiest.
Yep. Who's the sexiest? The Chandrian.
Period. Yeah.
Sexy Cathay. That
Yep.
actually is would be very funny. So Patrick, will you ever do an IRL house stream? I do not know what that means. Julie, is this? Are they talking about drugs?
I think that they might be
Whenever the
talking about
kids,
drugs.
whenever the kids use slang, I assume it's about drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever they don't, I assume they're talking about sex. I'm glad you laughed at that. Um, oh my gosh, sexy crazy Martin.
Oh,
I don't know. That doesn't fit in my head.
I don't know how.
Well, partly we haven't like seen him. He's very much a tertiary character.
Well, and again, it would go back to what's sexy for him, and I don't know what that is.
Well, I mean, it's not mentioned. Martin is a bit of a, I mean, he's huge and he's wired a little different from a lot of people, but um, yeah, more people would want a crazy, sexy Martin.
Yeah, there you go.
But I think the reason it doesn't fit in my head, like, and I'm like, oh, all the other masters, yeah, I can think of them in that way. But the, with Martin, who else can I not frame in a sexual context? I think part of it is like I haven't seen fan art. I don't think of him.
Mm.
People don't bring him up as much as a character. But the other thing is that of all the characters portrayed, he is the one who would be, you could point at him relatively quickly and say, this person has mental disorders.
Yeah, and that's I think why I'm struggling to.
Yeah, like, and which is not to say that, I mean, hey, somebody with mental disorders, I dream that that people would someday find me attractive, but you know, yeah, I don't know. But what would be interesting about it is that not only is he big, but he's a bit of a hunchback, um,
Mm.
because he has been a Modegan longbowman for his entire life, and that does things to your body. You pull that bow ever since you're
Yeah,
14, and so you end up a little twisted.
yeah,
Did I ever tell you about that? That they in the English Channel, they found a boat like just in the water, and these things stay for hundreds and hundreds of years because the water's cold, and so the
right.
boat was
Everything
there,
sinks.
and it was full, and they're like, and it was full of hunchbacks, and they're like, what? And then they're like, oh
That's
no,
so crazy.
and it's like, no, these were English longbowmen, because you pull, I mean, the pull on an English longbow, it would drive an arrow through 2 solid inches of oak, and
Right.
like all the way through, not a little bit through. And so you pull that, you pull that, you pull that. And this is back before you had a occupational therapy or like sports medicine or any of that. And you do that your whole life. And it's like you're a mercenary or you're a hunter, you practice, and it affects your body, especially if nutrition isn't maybe great. And so, but that's what they figured out. It's like, no, this is what made England a power and kept them from getting constantly overrun, is
Yeah.
these people would kill you from 200 yards away.
Jesus. That's so crazy, though. I can't imagine having that discovery. That's nuts.
Well, weavers also, like you weave, you weave, you weave. It's
Right.
these days, that's, it it did to their bodies what being a programmer does. You get your
Yeah.
hunch, although not this way, you get forward.
Yeah.
Anyway, Julia, thank you so much for your time. Um, and everybody, thank you for showing up. I will just repeat. This is the fabulous Julia Maddalina. You can find her work on her website. Posters, etc., are in the World Builders store. But, honestly, all that other stuff in the World Builders store is old news. Why not check out the new hotness? Literally new, literally hotness, plus kittens,
Plus
plus
kittens.
fairies, plus, I mean, there's
There's
just,
so many other secrets I can't wait for you to
oh
see.
man, yeah, there's some stuff
There's,
in here, folks.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
so,
Squee Blurry Julia. I am so sorry. I don't know why
nah, no worries.
we are here.
But um, if you want to support the Sexy Calendar community and economy, then get in there and order it. The pre-order, where if you order multiple copies, you get increasingly, you save more and more money. I'm going to say maybe 2 days left on that. So if you get in, you order a couple, do some Christmas shopping. Congrats. You can also buy it bundled with the new novella. Wait, I've got it here, buried under
Oh
one
yeah,
more.
and Pat wrote a novella. Did you
Also,
guys know?
I did a this. And you can buy a signed copy bundled with the calendar. Like, treat yourself. This little something for your book for you, calendar for your horny grandma. Like, we bring it full circle.
There we go. We did it,
But
folks.
also check out the bundles, because we have like the cool coin that we made. There's a promotional one, that, again, we printed so many. You can pre-order, you can get a discount if you order it with the book. And so feel free to go there. We've bundled things together so you can get a discount. You can just get the calendar if you've already ordered other stuff. If you want to help but you've already ordered, spread the word, share it with a friend, because I know what's going to happen is we'll finally sell out, and it'll be February 14th, and I'm going to deal with a year's worth of people saying, are there any of those calendars left? And I'll just be sad and angry forever. But you can help your friends invest in the future of good art and good mental health, because looking at Bast every day is guaranteed to improve your life by 28%. That's
Do it for your country is what we're saying.
for your country. And support
God damn
artists and do a charity, and also Sexy Bast.
Hell yeah.
So thanks for showing up, everybody. And thank you, the amazing mods, for helping us wrangle although you guys don't need much handling. They keep it clean and comfortable and kind in here.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for staying on top of the links and everything. It's so kind of you.
It is. It's delightful.
Y'all are great.
So we'll do one more little quick flip through. Can you buy the book signed? I mean, it is in there. You pre-order it, it will be signed. If you pre-order it fast enough, you get one of the ones that's signed by Nate too. We haven't made that announcement, but I'll just say you could, you're my favorite, so you get the secret knowledge. Go ahead and do that. And I just want to finish showing off all these lovely everythings.
I can't wait for you guys to see it after you read the novella. It'll be so fun.
Yeah, there's other ones you haven't seen because we got to keep those secret for now. Okay. Bye, everybody. Thank you again so much, Julia. And chat, how about this? I'm going to turn this off for a sec. I'll go say goodbye to Julia, and I'll be back briefly, and I'll say bye to the chat separately.
Sounds good. Bye, everyone.